Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. This is a retrospective look at Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360. And this was one of the games that made me really want to get an Xbox 360. When I saw this, I was absolutely blown away. I mean, by today's standards, the graphics don't look anything special. I still think they look pretty good. I still think they do a job. But, you know, they're nothing on today's graphical masterpieces that you see out there. But back then, in 2005, this was the cutting edge. This was awesome, and I remember seeing it and thinking, right, I really want an Xbox 360. There was the Project Gotham racing game that come out, as well as the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon game that came out, that I really wanted as well. And I just remember when I got home and I started playing this game, just being absolutely blown away. I absolutely loved it. Even now, I really love going back playing this game. It's such a great game. The single player campaign is fantastic. You've got three different campaigns that focus on the Russian Red Army. Then you have in Stalingrad, and you have the British Army in Africa, and then you have the US Army at Normandy. And there's three very distinct campaigns, and each one is really well done, really interesting to play. Great environments. The battle set pieces are fantastic, and it's just well worth checking out. I say I still go back and play this now, and for me this is my favourite Call of Duty game. I know other people might prefer the more modern Call of Duty games to games like Modern Warfare, whatever. That's fine. For me, this is what Call of Duty was all about. You know, the Modern Warfare games were actually quite a departure. They didn't have as comprehensive single-player campaign as this does to start with, and you know, the multiplayer became much more focused around the idea of leveling up and ranking up to unlock weapons and mods for your guns and all of this type of nonsense, which, you know, yeah, that's great. I mean, if you like that kind of thing, that's fantastic, but I much prefer a more simple and more straightforward multiplayer. And Call of Duty 2 offered this, and all you really needed to do was pick which weapon you wanted, and that was represented by a different soldier. And you picked your favourite weapon, and off you went. And you know, that was it. There was no ranking up. It was very, very simple, very easy to get into. You know, it was more a test of your skill. I mean, these type of multiplayer games, I think, were more skill-based than, you know, modern ones. I don't like this idea that, you know, somebody can have better weapons or better equipment than you based on how long they've played the game. That detracts away from what the game should be about. You know, I think that games should be more a test of skill, and, you know, on a more level playing field than having these type of systems that they put in place. I know they work hard to try to balance it, but I've just never been a fan of that system. I think it changed the way people play games, because people play these more modern first-person shooters and so forth with the ranking up system online. They're playing it with a view to prestige, and they're playing it with a view to get experience. And again, that's fine if that's what you like. There's no problem with that. But, you know, it does make for more selfish gaming, I guess. You know, the sort of, you get a different breed of gamer with that than you do, or did certainly back when I was playing this. And people, again, it's probably the way that I'm looking at it, but, you know, I would say that people today don't seem to enjoy playing online quite as much, in the sense that seems to be a lot of angry gamers that play online, whereas, you know, for me personally, I just used to play this for fun. I mean, it just used to have such a laugh. I had a really good group of people that I used to play this game with, and we just used to have a laugh. And, you know, night after night I would go on playing this game. I'd be disappointed if there wasn't an online session. I'd come in from work and, you know, having dinner, and the first thing I'd look for is there an online session of this going, and is there any room? Because one of the problems being in the early days of online gaming, there was a limit to the number of people you could get into the game. So, you know, I always wanted to try to make sure that I was there ready to play online, so I didn't get left out. I mean, nowadays I don't play anywhere near as much online. I will do it occasionally with Battlefield 4, but, you know, for the most part, if there's an online mode that enables me to play like a squads game or something like that, where in the new Call of Duty, where I'm kind of online but not online, if that makes any kind of sense, I much rather go for that. And I don't know, I just don't like having to try and deal with all the griefing and stuff like that goes on. I think it's ridiculous when you should be just having fun. But I think the fact that people get so worked up about trying to rank up and, you know, unlock things as soon as possible, it sort of changes the nature with which people play games. And I think that's sad, because, you know, primarily they should be playing these games for fun, and not getting overly stressed if they're not winning, therefore making the task of them leveling up more difficult. And the fact that I'm such a massive noob when it comes to playing online anyway, I'm hopeless compared to a lot of people that do nothing but play online an awful lot. I don't suppose endears me to those people anyway, because they probably see me as somebody that's costing their precious win, or so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, here we are. This is the some footage from the British campaign, and here, I mean, a tank in Africa flying across the desert taking on Rommel's forces. And again, you know, it's something I really enjoy. I don't think there's been enough of this type of thing in the more modern Call of Duty games. I know that they try to mix it up as much as they can do. In Ghost you have the underwater level, and you have the level set on the space station on the orbiting weapons platform thing. But, you know, I like this kind of thing. I feel like I'm in a more epic battle. And that was the great thing, you know, with Call of Duty 2. You felt you were in a part of an epic battle that actually took place, that, you know, that really went on, as opposed to in the more modern games, they're fictionalized. It's like an alternate future. And, you know, again, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But to me personally, there's just something more. This just taking part in you know, a fictional reenactment of a real battle that did historically take place. There's just something that resonates a little bit more with that, rather than something which is just a pure work of fiction. And I'm not going to sit here and bash the new Call of Duty games, because, I mean, I've got Call of Duty Ghosts. I've owned all of the Call of Duty games, apart from the one that came out on the Vita, and I've enjoyed them all. In their own way, I've enjoyed them all. So I'm not going to sit here and, you know, bash the newer Call of Duty games and say they're no good, because that's not true at all. I've thoroughly enjoyed playing Call of Duty Ghosts. You know, I play the squads featuring that quite a lot, and I enjoy it. I think it's if I want to let off some steam, you know, it's no finer game to do that with. But my personal preference was these older Call of Duty games. Like I say, this Call of Duty 2 is my favourite of the series, because, you know, I got enjoyment of this right across the board, not just in one aspect or one element of it. you know, both the multiplayer and the single player, I got a lot of enjoyment from. As I say, you do get the sense that you're taking part in an epic tank battle, just racing across the desert, taking out the German Panzer divisions. You know, it's just fun. I know, it's just something different. And back then, there wasn't. You know, we take sort of different modes in games now for granted. You know, we take turret sections and sections like this for granted in a lot of first-person shooters, but you know, back then they weren't. It wasn't so much as commonplace as it is now, especially on consoles. On the PC, there were a few games that afforded you the luxury of doing this, but the Xbox 360, when it came out, was a really big step up in terms of what games consoles could do performance-wise. It's a terrific console. It still is today. I mean, you know, if you look at the 360 version of Titanfall, it's not that less of a game than it is on Xbox One, and that's testament to how good the 360 is. You know, aside from the red rings of death, which I did have a problem with when I first got the console, but that was, you know, the price I paid, I guess, for being an early adopter. You know, it still is a damn good console. I still love playing on it. I think that as a games device, it's been amazing. When you actually think that the console is 9 years old this year and games are still coming out for it, AAA games are still being made for it, and they still look good. You know, and the same with the PlayStation 3 as well. It gives you an idea of how good the last gen really was. You know, I don't think we'll see the likes of that again. I don't think we'll see the likes of a generation of consoles last that long as the main games console of that generation. You know, normally they'll have like 5 years and then the next console will come out, and they'll hang around for a little while after, you know, like the PlayStation 2 did with the PS3, but the PS3 was the main console. You know, Xbox 360 is still in there, even though Xbox One's out there, but I don't expect that to happen again. I don't expect there to be such a long run with the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 as the main games console. I think that what you'll see, if we do get another generation of consoles, which I hope we do, I'd hate to think that, you know, it would stop. I think you're looking at probably 5 years rather than sort of the 7-8 years that we've seen now. You know, simply because there were other factors that were involved. You know, obviously there was the global economic situation. It would have been insane to have launched these consoles 2 or 3 years ago that we've got now, because, you know, they wouldn't sell as much as they are doing now. I mean, you know, people still are struggling, you know, financially, people still are struggling, but, you know, a few years ago it was worse than it is now. So, you know, there is that to consider. But I think also, again, just going back, they were so well made, they were so well designed, and they were very powerful. They were a huge step up from the PS2 and the original Xbox. They were big step ups, and you can see that. You can see it. It was a big step up to the graphics from the Xbox to the graphics in this game, and this was a launch title. And you know, there was a significant step up there. But I mean, you look at games now that, like I say, if you looked at Titanfall on the Xbox 360, you know, that would probably make this game look, you know, pretty old and pretty basic as well. You know, even the more modern Call of Duty games, the Battlefield games that look fantastic on the last gen consoles. You know, again, this type of thing, it's a testament to just how well those consoles were designed and how well they were put together. And certainly, you know, especially from the Xbox 360's point of view, it wasn't really that expensive. You know, looking back, you know, for as good a console as it's been, it wasn't that expensive. The PS3 was expensive when it came out, but that was due to the fact that it was a more designed as a multimedia device. You know, they included a Blu-ray player, and Blu-ray technology at that time was still pretty expensive. You know, it had multiple card readers in it, and all of this kind of stuff. You know, ironically enough, it's almost been a flip this generation, with the Xbox One being more multimedia and more expensive, and the PlayStation 4 being more games focused. So it's kind of ironic that both companies have flipped their position. But, you know, again, I mean, just thinking how cheap the 360 was, even when it launched, it was exceptional value for money. You know, it is. I mean, just thinking back and thinking how long this generation of consoles has lasted for, it sort of gives you an idea of how good they were. But anyway, that's enough about talking about the consoles. Back onto the game. So this campaign I'm playing here, this is the US campaign in Normandy, at the Point de Hoc. I think I've said that right. And this was a real life battle that took place, and it was incredible to think these guys scaled sheer cliff faces under heavy fire. I mean, I sometimes I don't know how these guys in real life did this. I mean, what they went through wasn't a video game, and they did this stuff for real. You know, scaling a sheer cliff face under heavy fire. You know, just the idea here, if I remember correctly, the idea was they wanted to take out heavy artillery that was pounding Omaha Beach, and you know, we all know what happened with on Omaha Beach from Saving Private Ryan. So these guys, you know, they risked life and limb to take out these heavy artillery guns, to try and save as many of their buddies as they could at Omaha. And again, I mean, what they did really well was they conveyed the sheer chaos of warfare, and it really comes across in this level. You know, you're going up the cliff face, the sound design is fantastic. You know, there's explosions, there's chaos, there's gunfire, there's all of this stuff going on everywhere, and you know, it's just remarkable. You know, and to think again, I mean, this game is nearly 10 years old, and it's just still a lot of fun, very engaging to play even now. You know, I rank it up there, as I say, it's my favourite Call of Duty game, and it does sit there, you know, as some of my, you know, my favourite game of all, in with my favourite games of all time. God, I'll get the words out of my mouth right in a minute. And you know, as I say, the idea of this retrospective was really to look back at this, and you know, to have a look and just go through and see, and just, you know, demonstrate what it's like. There may be people who, you know, came late to the last gen that never played this game, and if you haven't, you are missing out. It's well worth picking up. You know, like I say, the graphics by today's standards are not amazing, but you've got to judge it by the standard of the time, and at the time these were fantastic graphics. These were amazing graphics, and the game design was absolutely phenomenal. I've played through this game so many times. You know, from beginning to end, you know, down the years, I've played through it, and you know, you can crank the difficulty level right up, and it's such a challenge when you do that. I mean, you can barely take more than a couple of hits before you're dead with it. You know, and you can lower the difficulty level so you take more hits. But all in all, it is well worth checking out. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And you know, in an age where people have been talking about HD remakes, I know it's a divisive subject, but really would love well, not HD, sort of remastered for modern console systems using a bang up to date graphics engine. I would absolutely love to see this game remastered for the PS4 and the Xbox One. It probably won't happen, you know, because people get all upset these days about these remastered games. You know, I can understand where some people come from with it. I think that, you know, they're worried that that's all it's going to be. But I also think that it's not the be-all and end-all. That they're still making new games. It's just that they're trying to make games. They're trying to release games that people may not have played before. Especially, I mean, I picked up The Last of Us for the PlayStation 4. I did play it on the PS3, but I actually borrowed the game off one of my relatives, and I had to pretty much blast through the game as quickly as I could to get it back to them in a decent enough time. So, you know, getting the remastered version on the PlayStation 4 with the advanced graphics and, you know, the higher frame rate and, you know, with the DLC and stuff, it wasn't a problem for me, because it just means I can take my time now going through the game and enjoying it. And I really would love to see an enhanced version of this, though I don't want the modern day version of multiplayer tagged on it, which I know that's what they do. I'd want them to preserve the multiplayer exactly how it was on this. So that's kind of why I don't think it'll happen. And even if it did, I would be somewhat dubious of the fact that the multiplayer would probably either be omitted completely or be compromised with the more modern day multiplayer element, which is something I just don't want, because like I said earlier in the video, the multiplayer was something that helped make this game what it was. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. I've rambled on quite a lot. I've managed to go on a bit of a magical mystery tour, as usual with these rambling type videos. But yeah, I just wanted to share it because, you know, I was going through a few of the old games that I've got over the weekend, and this was one of them. And getting, as I said in my previous video, I connected my 360 up with the cables to my HD PVR device, and I was looking through and I thought I'd done a Call of Duty video quite some time ago, I think about 2 or 3 years ago now, and then my intent at the time was to do all of the Call of Duty games, and it never panned out that way, and it wouldn't be possible for me to do it now because I don't have all of them. But I do have this one, and I really wanted to make a video of this because, as I say, it is my all-time favourite Call of Duty game, and not giving it some love and attention on my channel would be somewhat remiss of me. And as I say, I would imagine you could probably get out there and still pick up a copy of this. I imagine it'd be at a really decent price. I don't know. I'm not too sure about. I'm not too sure about how much value these games retain down the years. I wouldn't have thought it would retain much value. They are very popular games, so there's normally a lot of them around, but you never can tell. But you know, like I say, if you've missed this before and you want to experience old school Call of Duty at its finest, and it is at its finest with this game, then it's well worth checking out. So thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned to my channel for more to come.